Hi everyone. This is just a quickie. I felt very much moved yesterday. It felt like, very big things were brewing, and I just felt, something is going to happen. Of course, we got the news this morning about Stone, who was a man working with President Trump. But before I get into that, I just wanted to just talk about this general feeling, which is the mood of the country. Again, we're about to see surprises begin to come forward. I see like a giant bundt pan, the kind that has the little tube in the middle and the little pattern on the edge of segments or little designs. And I see Mueller, and he has been mixing up sugar and water, and he's been doing his work, boiling this material as if he were making jello, and it's now beginning to be poured into the pot, this bundt pan, this jello mold, and he's put it in the refrigerator, and it's been like a freeze. The freeze has been the freeze in the government, the positionality that people have taken, and they become paralyzed and frozen, and literally this pan is in the refrigerator and the jello is starting to congeal. And I feel very shortly Mueller is going to be removing this bundt pan or jello pan, and he's going to bring it out of the refrigerator and he's going to flip it over. And we are going to see an entire gelled form that he has created, which is containing the cherries and the pieces of pear. I remember my mother put fruit salad in, this kind of thing, and there were lumps of this and lumps of that, and they were all suspended in this material. And the amazement we're going to feel when we see this giant, huge pattern, which has rhyme and reason, which has a structure, even though it's wobbly, even though it has aspects to it, this jello, that still are not clear. Yet we get the ability to see through. We see pieces very clearly in this jello, and that's the feeling that we're moving into in the next week or so, week, 2 weeks, as this whole configuration begins to be presented to the American people. So much is pouring in now. Let me just try to go slowly here because there's so many images. The unrest in America is the thing I just feel. You know, this whole process is new for me. I'm so happy to share it with you, and I don't want to create difficulty and challenges and fear for people by sharing what I see and feel. But because I can share, I feel like it can enable people to see in some way what may be coming and get used to the idea and make a choice that might, as I said, iron out wrinkles and smooth things out and create greater cooperation. So that's the purpose of what I'm doing here, and it really feels so good for me. And I hope it's feeling good for you out there, that you can connect somehow to this material and it can be helpful. Anyway, so the unrest and the disappointment, oh my goodness, the disappointment that people are feeling now, and the empathy others have for people who do not have money to pay bills. I know that when I have looked into my son or daughter's face early on in my life, and I didn't know where I was going to get the next meal to feed my feeling. I kept feeling like, well, I'm going to go out and do anything. I'll wash toilets if I have to be able to take care of my babies, my kids. And that was the feeling I had. And I know these people who are going through jobs, who are actually literally working right now, who are not even being acknowledged by this power system, by this structure. They're not acknowledged, they're ignored, they feel they aren't heard, and the disappointment and the frustration is so huge. It's like a mom or a dad that doesn't listen to a kid that says, I'm hungry, I just want you to feed me. can you just hear me? I just need to be fed. That's the feeling. And it's a quite innocent, it's almost like a primitive, primal kind of interaction. Government the parent, workers are like the children, and this feeling is just so intense, and it's rippling out through the country. The world is watching it intently at the impasse that the United States has created, and it's just shocking. It is a shocking display of a lack of creativity, of a lack of ability to problem solve, of a lack of ability to just efficiently take care of primal needs. People first. I keep hearing them say, people first, eating first, jobs first, stuff second. And this is now I see a big giant Trump coming in with a big coat, puffed up shoulders, and a big long like penis tie, and in red and white and blue, the colors of America. And I'm it, and I am America, and I represent your values. But the problem here is that this man has been so disconnected his whole life from his own family, father, mother, the values instilled in him, which run in a tape loop, which I have expressed, cause him to not be able to connect with those around him. He is completely interested in empire building and running his tape loop, to anything. And the challenge here is he's a builder. He's a constructor, a builder. He sees that he is powerful if he can construct and build. Build an empire, build a wall, build a building, build a golf course. Just build, build, build. He doesn't understand that that's a secondary or tertiary value, that the real building is the interconnectedness between people, the love, the compassion, and the responsibility one would have toward people. That he doesn't get. The Republican masses are shaking and quaking. Why? Because the old white guard has been aligned with that whole paradigm of elitism, disconnect. They have all made deals here and there through their careers that they are ashamed of, that they are hiding, that they don't want to see revealed. And, this news we hear now is all about Trump tweeting about a witch hunt, and I agree there is a witch hunt. And I'm happy there's a witch hunt, because what we have are practitioners. This comes right out of Harry Potter. Practitioners of the dark arts that Eisenhower said, watch the military-industrial complex. They are in bed with our politicians, with other leaders in the world. They are negotiating and making deals. They are part of the dark arts. They are moving and shaking and negotiating and making contracts that they're like spells, and they behave like curses, literally, to American people. They are unseen. They are binding people, spell binding of people into positions, into behaviors that they're locked into and they can't seem to get out of. They can't find their way out of these challenging situations. And we have this with government workers. They have been spellbound. They have been put into a kind of paralysis state, like in caged animals, where they can't seem to see that there is manipulation with government in the dark arts. And this has been going on ad nauseum. I mean, I can think of ancient Rome, where all this political intrigue went on, where Augustus was poisoned by his wife Livia because she wanted her son Tiberius in power, and Caligula killed Tiberius after that so he could get in power. Things haven't changed. But we have the ability now to look at all of this and say, I want change. It doesn't work for me anymore. I have information. I have real-time data coming at me. I can empower myself. I can make choices for myself. We are not living in a medieval age, an ancient Roman age, even a World War II age where, believe me, great intrigue went on as well. But we are living in an age where we can take the bull by the horns, and as our leader had the bull by the horns, we can now take the bull by the horns, and we can start progressing and moving forward in a way that would be beneficial for us. And so I see things starting to unfold and the jello beginning to come out of the mold. I don't have an exact time. It feels like 2 weeks or so. And it feels like then it starts to progress. And as people are able to look through this jello, they can see exactly what's going on. And it's time for the witches, wherever they be, female politicians, the warlocks, the big, strong guys who stand behind their armor and wield their power, these guys, and the wizards, the people that creep around like rats coming off a ship. You know, they're moving between countries and they come off the ship and then they land in port and they creep around and they make deals, but what they spread is the Black Death. So it's time for these wizards who are the communicators, who are moving through time and making liaisons and deals in the dark arts. It's time for them to be exposed. How? By us, by talking, by communicating, by cooperating with one another, by recognizing what's going on, by saying, oh, we've just had enough of this. This is enough. This system isn't working, and it's time to birth a new one. It's time to bring forward a whole new way of looking at reality, of creating a new system that is nurturing us, that feeds us, that feeds all of us. I mean, we're all here together on this great big mothership, and we got to start getting it together and looking at what works instead of this empire building paradigm, which is going right out the window. Anyway, I feel like in the next week particularly, we're going to have another startling revelation. And I'd be very happy as these impressions come into me to be able to share them with you. So thank you very much for joining me again. Brand new for me, but it's like a way that I can share with other people in my world. And it's benefiting, I hope, us here in this interchange. Okay, thank you very much.